It's another Wednesday, which means it's time for another edition of the online dinner party. And of course, sometimes we have solo guests, sometimes we have multiple guests, but we always have good conversation and we learn from each other and all along those lines. I hope that everybody's having a great day. It's actually about 57 degrees, even though it's starting to get a little cooler. We had some temperatures in the teens here in North Carolina, in Durham, North Carolina, but I think they said we got up to around 57 or high 50s earlier today, and it might even be in the 60s tomorrow, but that is with some rain coming, and then we'll get another cold burst, and then we'll get back to having some temperatures back in the 50 and 60 range, actually around Christmas. So no white Christmas this particular year, and all along those lines. So if the kids were hoping for snow on Christmas Eve or even Christmas Day, I'm afraid that won't be happening in the year 2025. Maybe it'll happen later or maybe in 2026, but it will not be happening this particular time around. Just came back from a lunch appointment with a friend of mine who's a photographer and all along those lines. And at the restaurant we ate at, there was a couple of pictures of the Grinch and there were pictures of other things as well. And actually last week after this show, I went in my apartment complex and they were having their Christmas gathering. So there were people having some hot chocolate and definitely having some snacks, whether that was cookies and whether that was donuts. And of course, there was a train that was running around the tennis court and there was a big Christmas tree. The Christmas tree may still be up, and there was a tall Grinch and a number of other things that were keeping people in the holiday spirit. And then this past Sunday at the Hayti Heritage Center, a cultural arts center that I work at, the jazz band, the North Carolina Jazz Ensemble, had their annual Christmas show, and there was probably a little bit over 238 people at that particular show. And they heard, of course, the classic Christmas songs and all along those lines. So that was a fun time, and a lot of people were enjoying themselves at that. And actually, Black Santa will be at the venue on the 20th through the 24th. So he'll be there on Saturday, the way up until Christmas Eve. And then he'll go and back to the North Pole. And after he goes to the North Pole, he'll gather the toys and start traveling around the world to deliver those gifts and all along those lines. He's actually been interviewed a couple of times. So we've had the interview with Santa Claus, and Cindy, my guest for today, might be interested to know that Santa told me that he was worried about the elves unionizing. So he was talking about that the last time around and everything like that. He was saying that the reindeers might even start trying to form a reindeer union as well. But yes, the weather is wonderful, and I know that Cindy has learned a lot from the world of golf. I actually had an uncle that passed away that was real big into golf, did the Harold Sun Classic by the age divisions, and actually won a couple of those, if I remember correctly. And he was also a football coach. And I've got other friends that have gotten into golf as well, including some that have used it to help youth to get out of trouble, whether that was youth that maybe were involved in gangs or other bad activities. But there was a golf program, I think it still exists here in Durham, that was trying to get those kids out of that kind of situation and all along those lines. But we do know that the LPGA and other Lady Golf has been a major thing in terms of the news. And I'm going to find out how Cindy got involved in the game of golf and all along those lines, and some of the lessons that she's learned and just life in general, and also see how the weather is treating her in her part of the world. So I got to remember which part of the world she's in and all along those lines. So how are you doing, Cindy? How is life treating you and everything like that? Because that's what we do on the online dinner party. We learn from each other and we try to find out what's going on in people's world. So how are you doing on this particular day? And if you'll refresh my memory as to which part of this great country you are in.
Well, thank you for having me, Mark. And I happen to be in Buffalo, New York, and we happen to have snow. And
Wow.
I believe we are going to have a white Christmas, even though tomorrow's supposed to be 46. So the snow's going to melt, but
Yes.
then it's going to come back again. And I can't believe you said Santa said that the elves might have a union. That'd be
Yes,
terrible.
it would be. And that's
Oh,
what
we
I told
can't
him.
do that.
And the reindeers might have a union. He was talking about, I can't have Rudolph having a union.
No, that can't happen.
No,
And they
that
better
just,
get back up to the North Pole so that they can get everybody down here and deliver all these gifts to all these kids on Christmas Eve so that they have a very happy Christmas.
exactly. They got some serious work to do. They've only got a week to get everything together. I understand they've been rapidly working and all along those lines. So they've definitely got to get their act together and everything like that. I don't have any kids, but I do have two nephews. One of the nephews is a senior in high school, and he's actually been accepted by, I think it's four, it might be more colleges. But the last checks that I heard, he had been accepted in four colleges here in North Carolina, and he wants to go become a lawyer and maybe even get involved in political activism and stuff like that. But he's definitely got his idea of what he wants to do, and his younger brother, who's 1 year younger than him, they were both born in August, wants to be an engineer. So it's good hearing kids
Wow,
idea
they're
of what they
smart.
do in their life and everything like that. So I knew I wanted to go into journalism when I was about their age. So I did go to Marquette and study that field. And I've also been doing event planning for a number of decades as well, even though I didn't know I was going to get into that till later in life and everything like that. But I've done media consultation and event consultation as well. Matter of fact, I actually organized a golf tournament. I learned some very valuable lessons because I went to go watch, I think it was a Michael Jordan golf tournament in Greenville at East Carolina to learn how to organize a golf tournament because a friend of mine was organizing it for a friend of hers who was into he had like a spinal injury. He suffered that when he was a Duke football player, and he was doing it as a fundraiser for his organization that was dealing with a spinal. I can't remember what the injury was and everything like that, but I know it was a spinal injury, and he was doing that golf tournament for that reason. Cindy, I hate to say it, but I made a mistake because it was a lot of doctors because it was a medical event and everything like that, and I did some booking. This is before I became a better event planner at that time than I mean, I'm better now than I was then because I booked a children's group for a bunch of doctors. So we have a group here called Rags to Riches. So they were doing like a children's performance, and they were good performers, but it probably was me thinking that there might be more young people that were actually there because there was an all adult crowd or a majority adult crowd. So I don't think that they were really feeling the children, the actors that were geared more toward children's activities. So we all learn from our mistakes and everything like that. So have you ever organized a golf tournament? Because I've only done one, and that was with my friend that did that particular golf tournament. I've had some other friends that have organized ones, and I've thought about helping with those, and I have organized and been involved with parades and stuff like that. But I think that was my one and only golf tournament. I don't think I've done any tennis tournaments. But have you ever organized a golf tournament, and what was that process like for you?
I have lots of charity golf tournaments, and they're fun to do. They're fun. They're a lot of work, a lot of
Oh
work.
yeah.
And I think there's so many golf tournaments that I have a nonprofit that I help underprivileged kids
Hmm.
figure out what they want to do when they grow up. And we just had 150 high school kids. We took them to the Buffalo Bills Stadium,
Okay.
and we had them all take personality assessments. So I'm certified in behavior and motivation.
Hmm.
And we had all these kids take these behavior assessments to figure out whether they're high D's, which high D personalities are real driven, competitive people. High I behavior people are real outgoing sales type people. High S's are steady, shy, quiet people. And high C people would be people that are um, compliant people like engineers, accountants, and stuff. And some of these kids from these schools, um, like my daughter-in-law has about 6 kids that are homeless in
Hmm.
her program. And so we had them come and we broke them up into different tribes, and they had to do breakout sessions. And we had 8 different tribes, and they had to do contests, and we had a team winner. And Jordan Poyer from the Buffalo Bills actually came and spoke to them, told them his story about being an alcoholic and how he got over that and overcame his obstacles, and really taught them how they could overcome all their obstacles. It was a marvelous day. They had so much fun. They were there from like 7:30 in the morning until 1 o'clock in the afternoon. We raised about 35, $40,000 to be able to put this on.
Uh-huh.
And to me, that was, because I'm a golf pro,
Hmm.
that was more fun than having a golf tournament because everybody does a golf tournament.
Correct.
So not that I haven't done golf tournaments. I play in a lot of charity golf tournaments. I have put on charity golf tournaments, but having all these kids come to the Bills Stadium, they were all kind of like, okay, what are you doing? And why are we going here? And they were a little bit whiny. And I said, just shut up and come and let's see what happens. And they were like, oh, wow, this was awesome. And they all got, t-shirts and goodie bags. And I had written this book called Take Another Shot
Hmm.
at Business, Golf, or Life. And it was kind of like my story. There's 18 chapters, there's 18 holes in golf, and each chapter has a story with a challenge at the end of it of how are you going to pursue your potential. So the
No,
kids loved it and it was great.
it sounds like it was great. And I think Buffalo, if I remember correctly, is doing well. I know that I'm not doing that well in fantasy football and everything like that. I think I'm 6-8 and am in the semifinals in the Sucker Bowl, which is basically everybody that didn't make it to the actual championship and that we all try to maintain by being either the top four, the top eight, or the top whatever to be the final champion in that sense of having the highest score. So I did make it to the final four until we go to this weekend. The team that I personally root for is not doing all that well. We had a rookie quarterback and he took a while to figure out what he's doing. And even though we have the star Justin Jefferson, I'm a long time, even though I'm a North Carolina boy, I'm a long time Viking fan going back to like the Fran Tarkenton days and everything like that. So we share the common interest between Buffalo and Minnesota of being teams that are perennial Super Bowl champions or perennial Super Bowl contendees, but don't really do that good in terms of winning the championship and everything
Right.
like that. But I think Buffalo's doing well this year, so maybe y'all will break the curse. I don't think we're going to break the curse anytime soon. So I figured
I
out
don't
Buffalo.
know. I have a heart attack every Sunday. So I don't know. I'm not holding my breath. Again, I love them and I'm rooting for them, but I'm like, I don't know. I
Yeah,
don't
a friend
know.
of mine is that way with the Baltimore Ravens. He's in lives in New Jersey. I think he was raised in Virginia, but is a diehard Ravens fan, and he holds his breath every year with the Ravens. So there are a lot of us that hold our breaths, and even here in North Carolina, I know a lot of people are going to try to find out what goes on between Carolina and Tampa because whoever wins that game will probably have the inside track to winning that particular conference and everything like that. You mentioned that these kids were inner city kids or kids that were having trouble and everything like that. And Buffalo has had some uh, negative history in the past and in the last couple of years. So how are things going in the sense of how Buffalo is doing? Because I do remember that very infamous incident that took place a few years ago and everything like that. So how is Buffalo doing in terms of relations between the races and between the classes as well? Because I
Well,
sometimes
you
forget.
know what's funny? And this is very sad because I wanted to do my program in the city schools of Buffalo.
Well,
And I went to speak to the people in charge of the whole city of Buffalo schools.
mm-hmm.
And you know what they said to me?
Well,
Cindy, you can't come to our school district and talk about domestic violence and alcoholism. I said, what? You won't allow me to discuss that and help these kids in your city school? That's absolutely ridiculous.
right.
A lot of these kids are dealing with these issues, and I want to come help them. Oh, you can't do that here. So they kind of kicked me out. And so I'm going to the outskirts and helping those school districts.
Wow.
So yeah, that's pretty sad. So my mission, and I'm kind of a brat when you
Mm-hmm.
tell me what I can't do. So I wrote a letter to Roger Goodell,
Mm-hmm.
who's from the same county as me.
Well,
And I just said, I just want you to know that I'm going to the Bill Stadium and we're only bringing a few hundred this year. Next year, I'm going to bring a few more hundred, and then I'm going to bring a few more hundred, and then I'm going to eventually fill up the Bills Stadium. And then I'm going to go to the next stadium, and then the next stadium. And I'm going to eventually go to every NFL stadium in the country and fill it up with high school kids. And we're going to change lives.
well.
And I haven't heard back from him. And I want you to know that I actually wrote another letter to President Donald Trump. And
Mm-hmm.
I told him who I was. And I said, I was told that you liked me when I was on this reality show on the Golf Channel a few years ago.
Well,
And I want you to know that I met my husband at Doral which I know you owned, Doral. You didn't own it when I met him. And I want you to know what we're doing in Buffalo. And I sent him a brochure and told him and explained to him what we were doing. And I sent him a copy of my book. Do you know, within 2 weeks, I actually got a letter back from him and he
Oh,
congratulated me. And he said, "Tell your lovely husband, Alan, I said hello
mhm.
and keep up the good work." So I'm not going to quit. I'm going to change these kids' lives because everybody deserves a chance at being successful.
Oh, yes, they definitely deserve a chance at being successful. You mentioned that you were on a reality in the Golf Channel, and I actually had a friend that was at our local TV station that was very active in the Golf Channel. I think he's still active, and that was Dwayne Ballard and everything like that. So I was just wondering if what the reality show was and how you got involved with the Golf Channel.
So it was called Big Break 3, Ladies Only. And
Mhm.
it was about 20 years ago. And they stopped showing it. They did a lot of Big Break episodes. And it stopped for a while, but then now Big Break's coming back and it's going to be airing sometime next year. And it's going to be Big Break Good Good.
Mm.
So it should be fun. And it's so odd because our daughter now works for the Golf Channel and she's actually going to help produce this Big Break Good Good, which is
Wow.
funny. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a
that's
small
good.
world.
Yeah, very small world and everything like that. You mentioned that part of what you're doing is trying to help people that are dealing with various things, whether that's domestic violence or mental health and everything like that. And we just recently had a case of where mental health was a major issue, but unfortunately, not everybody, when they get help, actually maintains the help and everything like that. And we did recently lose Rob Reiner and his wife and everything like that. And they're saying that their son is the one that committed the murder. And I understand that he had been committed some 15 or 18 times or a lot of times, but I guess he wasn't taking the treatment the way that he should have been taking the treatment. So I didn't know if you had any thoughts about that tragic death and everything like that, because I know that he could be outspoken, wasn't necessarily a Trump fan and everything like that, but that doesn't mean that he didn't
It doesn't
treat you.
matter. It's just so sad, you know? It's so sad. And my husband was an alcoholic and my husband tried to commit suicide. And thank God he's in recovery and he's better now and hasn't had a drink in, since 1996. But and my parents were both alcoholics. My father used to beat the snot out of my mother, and I grew up with that. And thank God, that he never killed my mother, right?
Mhm.
I married an alcoholic. I've lived with it my whole life. Again, it's just mental illness is terrible. I don't care what your politics are, it doesn't matter, right? It's just so sad. It's terrible.
Yeah, do you think we're doing enough to address mental health and mental illness? Because even here in Durham, I know that there are people that are homeless, and some of them might be suffering from various mental afflictions and things along those lines. But I just wondered, do you think that we're doing a good enough job of even trying to address people's mental health care? Because, like I said, he's not the first prime one meeting Nick Reiner, but there have been others that have literally gone into treatment centers and then come back out, and in some cases been worse or not as good as they should have been. So I just wanted your take on how we're doing in terms of treating mental health.
Well, I really don't think we are, but and I'm not a mental health professional, so I can't really judge because I'm not a mental health professional, but I don't think we're doing a good enough job. And that's why I would like to start in the schools.
Mhm.
I know that some of the kids that came to our event were a little reluctant. Yeah, spit
Right.
it out, Cindy, to come. But I know that once they came, they were afraid. They didn't want to mix with kids they didn't know. After they came, it was all about being leaders and making new friends and meeting people they didn't know. And, we gave them all wristbands depending on their personality.
Mhm.
And we wanted them to be more open and try to learn and meet people they didn't know from different school districts. And some of the kids that came were students that I teach golf to. Some of them they went to private schools and their parents have a lot of money. Other kids don't have a lot of money. Some of them were maybe homeless kids.
Right.
I don't care how much money you have. I don't care where you live. People are people, and we need to learn all to get along.
Right.
And even rich people have issues, right?
Mhm.
And if we can all learn to communicate and get along with each other, the whole world's going to be a better place.
Right.
So I agree with you that mental health is mental health, and we all need to learn how to think better and act better.
Yeah, that makes
Don't
sense.
you think so?
Oh, I definitely agree. That's definitely something we need to be addressing, whether you are a rich person or poor person, middle class, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether you're
Or
white,
what
black,
your
yellow, or
politics
purple,
are. I
or
don't
your
care.
politics or your
Yeah.
religion.
And you know what's so funny is that we have this, our daughter, when I have a shirt business and I always wanted to make cute clothes for the kids. So I went to this sewing store. It's a long story. And I wanted to buy this fancy sewing machine to make clothes for the kids, which seems like stupid. Why would you buy an expensive sewing machine to save money to make clothes for your kids? I ended up getting the machine. Then I felt guilty that I bought the machine. So I bought a book on how to machine applique so I could make shirts to sell shirts to pay for the machine that I just bought that cost too much money. Anyway, ended up making a lot of money selling the shirts to pay for the machine.
Hmm.
So our daughter that works at the Golf Channel, she goes, I want to start a shirt company and I want the logo to be a platypus. I
Oh,
said, well, where'd you come up with the platypus? She goes, I don't know, but I just really like the platypus. And so I happen to be a Christian. And I said, you know, it's funny because Daddy and I just went to Australia. We got asked to play in a senior tournament. And I said, the platypus is on a coin from Australia. So I'm going to go look for the coin. I brought a coin back from Australia. So, of course, I pull out the coin. It's the one coin that has the platypus on it from Australia.
wow.
So I look up platypus. Platypus is only found in Australia. And so I look it up and it says the platypus is proof that God has a sense of humor.
Hmm.
And the platypus is made of a beaver, a duck, and an otter.
All right.
And I thought, now how funny is that? So one of the things with our nonprofit, which the platypus is the logo, I don't care if you're made of a beaver, a duck, an otter. I don't care if you're pink, you're blue, you're purple, you're black, what color you are. I don't care what your religion is. We're going to teach you to pursue your it.
Right.
Follow? So we have New Era Cap is a cap company
Mhm.
that's part of the Major League Baseball,
Mhm.
the NBA, and the NFL, and they happen to be based in Buffalo.
Right.
And the owner of New Era Cap, well, Dave Cook was the dad of Chris Cook. Dave Cook was one of my sponsors when I played on tour.
Right.
I ended up making hats for the Masters with this stupid machine that I bought, and Dave Cook would put the logos on.
Hmm.
And he finally said to me, you are a pain in my butt. You have to get your own embroidery machine. So I ended up going from this $2,000 sewing machine to having to buy a $38,000 embroidery machine because I made too many hats for the Masters, which is in Augusta,
Right.
Georgia.
Right.
So now I go to New Era Cap for my thing that we did at the Bill Stadium. And I asked his son, Chris, because Dave passed away. I said, will you sponsor the caps for New Era Cap? And will you put our platypus on these caps? And so they gave us 400 caps with my little platypus. So again, you're talking about we don't care what color skin you are. We don't care whether you're Muslim or what. And there were a lot of Muslim girls there with their Habib
Right.
on our day at the Bill stand. I don't care what you are. We're going to help you pursue your potential. So it's so sad that the Buffalo public schools were like, you can't talk about domestic violence and alcohol abuse. Eventually, we're going to get through to them all because I'm not
Yeah.
going to quit.
You're gonna have to get through to him because that's definitely some important topics that need to be talked about. We was one of our other shows is one called Interludes Extra here on Pod TV, and it deals with entertainment. And they were talking about the movie. I think it's called F1, but it's about Lewis Hamilton and all along those lines. And I was trying to think if there's been any recent or good movies about golf, and I was just wondering if you knew of any or if there have been any good golf movies because I can think of many people that probably deserve a documentary if they haven't had one like Jack Nicholson and Tiger Woods and a number of other ones, even Arnold Palmer. And I'm not saying that because I like his drink and everything, but I'm a fan of the iced tea lemonade. mix and everything like that. But I was just wondering what kind of golf movies that you are aware of, and what is your take on the current way that modern golf is being treated? Because I know there's a whole nother tournament or a whole nother league. I think it's of women and male golfers that's coming out of the Middle East and everything like that. So I just wanted your take on modern golf and maybe even some good golf movies for those that are into golf.
Um, there's good golf movies, and I can't think of the names of them right now. The one that just came out, I don't watch a lot of movies.
Go ahead.
I don't watch. I can't even tell you the name. This is sinful that I can't remember the name of the movie that just came out recently, with all the golfers in it. But you know what I just heard recently is a lot of people are buying simulators to learn how to play golf in their own house.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason being is because so many people are playing golf since COVID that
Right.
they can't get on the golf course, so that they're buying simulators to learn how to play golf in their own house, which I think is cool. You
Yeah.
know, I don't know that I would want to play a lot of golf in my own house in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'd rather be outside in Buffalo, but I'm actually putting a simulator in my garage in the winter in Buffalo because it's so cold. And I'm in a dome right now. We teach in a dome, a two-story dome that you can see the ball fly 100 yards right now. And we
Well,
teach inside in Buffalo in the winter. So we're
well,
grateful that we have that, because there's no way you could play golf outside in Buffalo right now.
yeah. What got you into golf in particular? Because you were on the circuit and everything like that. So, what got you into golf, and who were some of the people that inspired you, whether it was male golfers or fellow female golfers? But what got you into wanting to be a golfer and even being on the professional circuit?
Well, my parents played golf every weekend, and I didn't really like golf, but they were at the golf course every weekend, and they would play golf all day, and then they would sit at the bar and drink. And the pool was my babysitter until I got fat in eighth grade. And then the cute boys at the pool started calling me 10 ton Tessie. So I wasn't going to go swimming because I didn't want to be called 10 ton Tessie. And my only other option was the golf course. So I started to play golf, even though I didn't really want to. And my dad got me some lessons with the pro, and the pro said, wow, she could be good. And I'm a competitive brat. And so then my mom took me, and her friends took me to an LPGA tournament when I was 17.
Mm,
And I saw Laura Baugh play in the tournament, and she was only a year older than me.
mm,
And I was awestruck. She hit the ball so far, and she was so good. I was just like, holy cow, I want to do that. And there was no internet. And I had no idea if there were colleges that had golf teams for women. So I wrote to the Ben Hogan Company and Golf Digest magazine, and I asked them if they knew of any colleges that had women's golf teams. And they actually wrote back a couple months later. And the only schools that I remember on the list were Odessa Junior College in Texas and the University of Miami.
mhm.
And I didn't really want to go to Texas. I wanted to go to the University of Miami. So I wrote to them, and they said, well, you're really not good enough to be on our golf team, but you're welcome to come down and be a walk on.
Right.
So I never visited the school. I saw pictures of the palm trees in the pool, thought that was good enough for me being from Buffalo. And my parents didn't even take me to the school. We had a family friend who lived in Coral Gables, Florida, who was a captain for Eastern Airlines, and said, our family will take her back down at the end of the summer. They had a beach house near us, and they dropped me off at my dorm. My father said, you've got 1 year to earn a scholarship or you have to come home because we can't afford this place.
Right.
And I graduated 4 years later, number one player on the team. I was an All-American, and we won back-to-back national championships my junior and senior year.
Oh wow. What are some of the lessons you think you learned from playing golf that you still use to this day and everything like that? Because, like I said, my uncle played golf, and I know others that played golf. My dad was into tennis, and even though he's had a stuff going on with his health for a number of years, and back isn't doing that great, but he does still do swimming and all along those lines. But I was just wondering, what are some of the lessons you feel that you learned from golf?
Resilience for sure. discipline, without a doubt, learning to play under pressure,
Mhm.
um, absolutely commitment, trusting yourself. Um, you have to believe in yourself.
Mhm.
You have to focus.
Mhm.
So I played on tour for 3 years, and after 3 years, I lost my card because I wasn't good enough to stay there.
Right.
So, of the best in the world, I was the worst.
Mm.
And then Alan and I got married, and we had 3 kids. And then Alan was an alcoholic, and he tried to commit suicide. And then I filed for divorce, and then we didn't get divorced, and he quit drinking. And after all that mess was over, I saw that there was a Legends Tour for former LPGA Tour players.
Mhm.
And I called them and asked them if I could play. And they said, well, you're not good enough to play. You didn't finish high enough on the LPGA money list. And I said, well, what do I need to do? And they said, well, you have to qualify. So I asked Alan and the kids, I said, do you mind if I start to try to qualify? And they said, no, go ahead. So that's when I applied to be on the show on the Golf Channel because I thought I need to learn how to play under pressure because I
Right.
know that if I was leading a tournament, I would choke, right?
Mhm.
I knew I didn't believe in myself enough. And so it took me 4 years of practicing and learning how to trust Cindy and learning how to play because Alan played on the tour. My husband played on tour for 15 years. He played in the Masters 5 times. He was really good.
Mm.
And so I I had to learn how to trust Cindy and believe in myself. And so it was like redemption for me.
Mm.
And that's why I wrote the book, Take Another Shot, because I believe we've all been, born for a reason and
Right.
everybody has skills and talents. Like you said, you know how to run events, you know how to
Mhm.
produce things.
Right.
Everybody, I don't know how to do that. You know how to do
Mhm.
that. So
Right.
everybody's got gifts. So I love teaching people to believe in themselves
Mhm.
because I didn't believe in me. So after I did this, I went back out and I did that show on the Golf Channel, and for 12 weeks, people watched this old lady prove that she could really hit a golf ball with millions of people watching her on TV. So then the first tournament after that on the Legends Tour, I got an exemption.
Mm.
And I ended up finishing second on the money list on the Legends Tour.
Oh well.
So, I mean, it was totally God showing me, this is what you need to do to show people that they can truly pursue their potential. And
Yeah.
that's why I wrote the book. So, you got to have a dream, you got to be willing to work for it, you got to have courage. There's so many lessons.
Yeah, that makes
And
sense.
anybody that plays golf knows that.
Oh yeah. What do you think is some of the myths that people have about golf and everything? I know a lot of people think of golf as a high end kind of like only for the affluent, even though I know that there are a lot of non affluent people that are playing golf as well. And they're thinking about like the country club kind of golf and all along those lines. And of course, a lot of people think of golf as a business tool because they know that businessmen will often make deals on the golf course, just like they'll make deals on the tennis courts as well. But I'm just wondering, what do you think are some of the myths, or maybe those aren't myths? Because I do know that there are business deals, whether
Well,
it's
there's golf is definitely used as a business tool. And you can tell the personality, you can tell if you want to do business with someone on the golf course. You can tell if they lie, if they cheat, if they're humble, if they're greedy, if they're a nice person. You can tell so much about somebody by playing around a golf with them.
Hmm,
You can totally. So I wouldn't do business with someone without playing golf with them
right.
because I could tell you so much about that person. Now, are there stuck up snotty people who think they're really cool at a private country club? Absolutely. But so I didn't grow up at a fancy private country club. I grew up at a semi-private golf course where you can pay to play as well.
Right.
So I teach at a public driving range
Mhm.
where fancy schmancy people that are members at a private club come and take lessons from me, but so does a janitor
Right.
because I'm a normal human.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I don't want to be a pro at a fancy schmancy private club because that's not the type of person I am.
Mhm.
I'm I like being the normal person that's at the public place because that, you know what I mean? I'm a normal human. So I teach at a public facility where anybody can come to. So, and I play at a semi-private public golf course. So you could say that. Now I teach kids that are rich and kids that are don't have any money, and I give
Right.
them free clubs. So I mean, it just depends on who you are and where you came from.
And I think that's one of the things that people think about when they think about golf is some people are thinking, and I know other programs like yours, that it's too expensive because golf clubs and the fees of the for the getting on the golf course can sometimes add up and everything like that. So I'm just wondering how easy is it for somebody to get into golf if they don't have the right equipment, and how easy is it to find programs like yours that might be donating clubs or making clubs available, even if they're not the top of the line equipment and everything like
You
that.
don't, you can have used golf clubs. You can, like people will email me and say, I don't have clubs. I have clubs you can use. You don't need clubs. I have clubs you can use for free. I do clinics that are $30 for an hour lesson.
Right.
I do I do LPGA Girls Golf Club, which are girls or boys. There's the first tee that's very inexpensive.
Mhm.
And we donate clubs to that. It's free. There's a big box over there for free clubs. And so there's so many ways that you could learn to play golf that don't cost a lot of money. And if
Uh-huh.
you're interested, email me, Cindy at cindymillergolf.com, CINDY.
Cindy Miller at Cindy at CindyMillerGolf.com, and they can
Yeah.
find ways that they can do it and everything like that. I know some people, you mentioned it with even the simulators, but there are some people that will practice in their home and everything like that. So, what do you think is the most difficult part of golf? Because I know some people that are terrified by the short putt to get the hole in
The
the,
ball in the hole.
the ball in
So
the hole.
here's, you know what? The best way to practice that is get a yardstick. I
Hmm.
prefer a metal yardstick. So at Lowe's, they were $3.
Right.
A metal yardstick at Lowe's. And on the one end of the metal yardstick, there's a hole.
Hmm.
So where it hangs in the store,
Right.
put a golf ball on the hole.
Hmm.
And so the ball is sitting on top of the yardstick, and put the ball on the yardstick and keep the ball on the yardstick. So
Oh,
put
wow.
the ball on top of the yardstick and put the ball down the yardstick. If you can keep the ball on the yardstick, you're going to make every 3 footer. And you can practice that all winter in your house.
Yeah, that sounds like
Easy
a good.
peasy.
And speaking of good tips and everything, I know a lot of people are also terrified about getting the ball onto the fairway and everything because they are thinking, because depending on who designed the golf course and everything, sometimes the fairway is a long distance away, and you've got some people that are long drivers, some people that are not the best long drivers, and everything like that. So, what tips do you have for folks to get the ball to the fairway, depending on where who has constructed the golf course? Because I know different golf courses are harder than others.
So a lot of people think that they have to kill the ball.
Right.
And so they try to swing too hard and kill the ball. And really, I ask them what they shoot. And they typically say, I don't break 100.
Hmm.
So I say to them, okay, let's pretend you want to shoot 90,
Hmm.
which is way less than 100.
Right.
Now there's par threes and par fours and par fives.
Right.
So if I hit every green in regulation, which means I get 2 putts on every hole.
Hmm.
So if I hit a par three and one, I get 2 putts, I make par. If I hit a par four and 2 shots, which I'm supposed to because I'm the pro, and I get 2 putts, I make 4. Par 5, I get it on the green in 3 and I get 2 putts, I make 5.
Right.
So now I'm not going to let you hit any green in regulation.
Mm.
Well, what do you mean? You can't hit it far enough. We're going to pretend you're not allowed to hit the green in regulation.
Right.
Okay. So every par 3 you have to be on in 2, and you're going to 2-putt. Every par 4 you can't be on in 2, you're going to be on in 3, and you're going to 2-putt. Every par 5 you're going to be on in 4, not 3, and you're going to 2-putt. You just shot 90 because you shot 1 over par on every hole, which is 18 extra shots. 72 plus 18 is 90.
Right.
Oh, okay. So now what I'm going to tell you is you can't hit driver off the tee. What do you mean? Well, if you took a 5 or 6 or 3, 4, or 5 hybrid, we'll say, off the tee box and you didn't swing as hard, you would probably hit it straighter. Oh, so now we're not going to try to kill it. Now we're going to hit it straighter because now you're going to take an extra shot to get to the green.
Mm.
Well, the He-Man gorilla guy is going to go, well, I don't want to do that. Okay. Well, I just told you how you can hit the fairway. You're not going to be happy with me because you want to kill the ball. You
Right.
follow? So I could say, all right, so then let's work on your swing so you can hit it straighter because I can do that with you.
Mm.
But you can't try to kill the ball. If you try to kill the ball, the face isn't going to be straight. If the face isn't straight, the ball's not going to go straight. So I'm going to show you how to swing less hard so it goes straighter. If it goes straighter, now you can hit the green in 2 or 3 shots. Now you're going to score lower. So basically, most people don't care what they score. They just want to hit it far.
Right. That makes sense. And I know the other time that people get a little bit flustered is when they get in the traps and everything like that. So what advice do you give for people, whether they are in the tree line or whether they are in the sand traps and everything like that? Because what I've observed, and I do not play golf, like I said, I've got relatives that play and everything like that. I probably need to get into that game, like I need to get into some other games as well. But I do notice that sometimes when people get into the traps, they do that same thing. They try too hard to like swing out of the trap and everything. And there's probably a method to getting off the trap, whether it's a sand trap or whether it's a tree line and everything like that. But I'm just wondering, what advice do you give? Because I'm thinking some people are trying to get out of that disaster by hacking at the ball versus trying to not hack.
So let's pretend we're in the trees.
Mm-hmm.
And it depends how far in the trees you are.
Right.
And if you have a free shot. So if there's a big gap in the trees and you've got space to get through it and there's no real low limbs,
Mm-hmm.
then I might take a bigger risk and
Right.
take a longer club to get through it. Okay. If there's low hanging branches and have a decent lie, I might take a driver off the ground or a 3-wood and low hanging branches and hit it real low and make it go really far out of the trees. On the other hand, if there's branches and the branches are lower and I have to hit it high, I might take a 9-iron and get it over the branches. Okay. Depends on where the branches are and how wide the gap is. Sometimes I might just have to chip it out and surrender. It depends. Now, if I'm in a sand trap, how big is the lip? Meaning, how do I have to get it over the lip?
Right.
The dumbest thing you can possibly do is hit the lip and keep it in the sand trap.
Right.
You absolutely do not want to do that. So is it a fairway trap? If it's a fairway trap, you have to get it over the lip.
Mm-hmm.
So if I have hit hybrids out of a fairway bunker,
Mm-hmm.
if I can get it over the lip, I'm going to try to hit the longest club I can to get it to go way down the fairway.
Right.
If the lip is huge, you might have to use a pitching wedge or a 9-iron to get it out.
Yeah, that makes sense. You know, one of the things we hear about in golf sometimes is, and you mentioned it earlier, that not everybody on the golf course is honest as they should be and everything like that. And there is this mythology, and I know it's been featured in some movie tropes and all along those lines, whether it was Caddyshack or some of the other movies and everything like that, where the person may know that the ball isn't exactly where they are at and everything like that. So how often is that the case where some person might move the ball a little bit closer than it was actually landed and everything like that? And how much is that an actual problem, or is that just one of those stereotypical tropes that people talk about people cheating by moving the ball a little bit closer than where it actually landed?
Well, on tour, it doesn't happen. If it does, they get caught.
Right.
It very rarely does it happen when you're on the tour. Now, when like we do boot camps, so we take people to Florida in the winter once a month. We do boot camps and we teach them how to play. So when we do that, I say we're playing. We're not really playing the rules. We're going to move the ball. We're cheating. We're not really cheating because I'm telling you we're going to move the ball because I want you to have a decent lie.
Right.
So we're moving the ball and giving you a good lie on purpose because I want you to be able to practice this swing that we're working on, right?
Hmm.
So there, I don't care. On tour, when we have bad weather,
Hmm.
they would say we're playing lift, clean, and place.
Okay.
So you would mark the ball with a T. So you would mark it and then you lift it and then you clean it and then
Hmm.
you can place it no closer to the hole so you can't go forward. And when we do that, we always do it a club length.
Right.
Now, it's funny because at clubs, let's say we're at one of those fancy private clubs, a lot of times the women will say you can do it a scorecard length, which
Mhm.
is, 12 and a half inches.
Right.
And so then, Mabel will say, oh, well, she moved it 13 inches. And I tell the women that I teach, just move it a club length because somebody's going to say she moved it 13 and a half inches and it was 12, you're only supposed to move it 12. Stop whining about each other. Just move it a club length and
Right.
use your driver. So nobody's going to whine about how far they moved it. So on tour, they always move it. If they say it's lift, clean, in place because the golf course is in bad shape, move it a club length. You can't go closer to the hole, but you can move it, 180 degrees.
No, that makes sense. How easy is it for people to actually? Because that's one of the other things I've heard people complain about is that because golf is, as you said earlier, 18 holes for most of the courses. There might be some that are shorter, and maybe even some that are longer, but the standard one is 18 holes and everything like that. And most people want to see everything. And they're like, I'll use a parallel: a race car. And I have not been to many, but I've watched some on TV. At a race car, you pretty much have the vantage point, if particularly if it's a oval track, maybe not a across course or cross road course, but an oval track. You can pretty much watch the whole uh, meet from wherever you're sitting at. The same with horse racing, and the same with to some degree football and baseball and basketball. But golf it's a big acreage and everything, and people are trying to watch the whole thing and everything along those lines. So from a fan standpoint, would you suggest that they try to move from hole to hole with the golfers, or is there a vantage point that you think is the best vantage point?
Well, that would depend. So if you have a favorite player, I would look at the pairing sheet. So they would
Hmm.
tell you who's playing with who and what time they're teeing off.
Right.
You could see that the night before the tournament. So you would investigate that online and say, okay, who's playing with who and what time are they playing? I would get to the tournament early to watch them warm up on the driving range and see, what's their warm up routine.
Mhm.
They typically go to the driving range first and then they'll go chip and putt and then they'll go tee off. I would do that. And then maybe you want to watch one player, your favorite player play 18 holes.
Right.
Maybe you want to watch two or three groups, and when they play. Um, or maybe you don't have a favorite player and maybe there's an intersection of, a tee shot and a putting green and then another tee shot of two or three holes that all coincide at the same place. And you could sit in one spot and walk a couple feet and see three or four or five groups in one spot. You're not going to be the only smart person that figures that out, though. So there's going to be a lot of people sitting at that location. It
No.
depends on what you want to do. If you want to follow one group, you're going to be walking 5 or 6 or 7 miles that day.
No, that makes sense. And of course, the golfers will be walking even more. Now, the other thing that I know happens quite a bit is that a lot of athletes in other sports think that they are good in golf, and some of them may actually be good in golf. Some of them may only think that they are good in their mind and everything like that. And we oftentimes hear of friendly wagers that golfers or people that think that they are good in golf will put with each other. I think Charles Barkley and Michael Jordan have had some interesting bets and everything along those lines. So I was just wondering how much does it, in your mind, how much do other athletes do in terms of being good golfers? And do you think that they are as good as they think they are, or is a lot of this their ego getting in the way and everything like that? So, what is your take on other professional athletes being golfers? Because I do know it's a hobby of many of a pro athlete, whether it is, I think Tom Brady played golf. I definitely know Michael Jordan played golf regularly. I'm pretty sure Charles Barkley did as well, and there are a number of others as well. But I'm just wondering, what is your take on other athletes as successful golfers?
I think there's an awful lot of other athletes that are pretty darn good at golf.
Good.
I know like Jordan Poyer's pretty darn good. I know that Josh Allen is really pretty good. I know that Aaron Rodgers is pretty good. Tom Brady's pretty good. I know that Stefan Curry is really good. Um, yes, I know that a lot of these other athletes are really pretty darn good. And again, pretty darn good means under a 10 handicap.
Right.
And some of them are really good.
Wow. Yeah, because
Again, I think it's a challenging game for
mhm.
them. And I think they love the challenge.
Yeah, because you mentioned even President Trump, and I know he's plays golf on his course down there in Florida. That's his personal course and everything like that. But I also know there are a number of actors and entertainers that also try to do good in golf, partially because of the business aspect of it, but also because it's a fun game. So I was wondering if there are any entertainers or people in the cultural world that you have seen that are good golfers, because I do know that there's a lot of these celebrity golf tournaments, and a lot of times the celebrities actually do pretty well. I know here in Durham we have the Duke Classic, and it used to be called the Perry Como Classic, and everything like that way back when, and everything like that. But I just wanted your take on what athletes would you think could have a good run in the pros if they decided to go into pros.
Tony Romo's gone to the qualifying school a few times.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he's tried to play on tour. Um, in fact, he just went to the qualifying school for the senior tour last year.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, and yeah, there's a lot of them. They haven't tried to turn pro to play on tour,
Right.
but there's a lot of them that are pretty darn good. It's amazing. And Bill Murray, I mean, he plays in uh, the pro am out in California every year. I mean, you see that tournament, and a
Right.
lot of those celebrities and actors and actresses, they all play.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I mean, it's a good networking tool and game and sport in business and in life. I mean, it's a game that people like the challenge.
Yeah. What are some of the things that you think would be good? Because you mentioned the people that are, and you kind of alluded to it on the other question as well, but for those that are going through troubled times and everything like that, other than discipline, what are some of the things that they can learn from golf that can help them get through things like domestic violence, or maybe they've gotten caught up too much in the gang lifestyle or things along those lines? So, what are some of the tools that they can get from golf that can help them get out of those particular difficult situations, whether it's domestic violence or whether it's some of the other things that you said Buffalo did not want you even to talk about, like alcoholism and stuff like that. So, what are some of the ways
Well,
that
I
can
mean,
help
no offense, but you're hitting something. And sometimes it's nice to put a face on the ball.
you?
I
Right.
mean, that sounds terrible, but you could put somebody's face on the ball and slam it, right?
Uh-huh.
And take your frustrations out, right? I mean, that's probably not the nicest thing in the world to say, but sometimes it's good to just say, I'm going to put somebody's face and let them have it, right?
Right.
And pretend it's somebody's face. It, you don't have to run, but you can take your aggressions out. I think it's good to give you a focus on something. I think it's making you think. It's taking your mind off something. You're outside, you're walking, it's you're breathing fresh air. I mean, it's something totally different.
Oh yeah. Speaking of breathing fresh air, that's one of the other things that I know. People love golf because it is an outside sport, just like tennis is for the most part, is an outside sport as well. But sometimes you can't control what Mother Nature is going to do and everything like that. So I just wondered, in your own golfing career and everything, what is an incident that maybe you weren't expecting, like a bird maybe landing or taking the ball out of the air or something like that? But what are some of the ways that Mother Nature has robbed you of what you thought was a good shot or done something along those lines? Because I do know you are out in the nature, and I know even I don't live that far from Washington Duke, which is near off of their golf course and everything like that. So, what are some of the things that caught you off guard that Mother Nature delivered, including maybe some weather, like maybe a storm? You lived in Florida there and went to school in Florida, and I know from having gone to a film festival there a couple of years and all along those lines that sometimes storms will pop up in the middle of nowhere, probably even in the middle of golf courses and everything like that. So, what are some of the Mother Nature elements, whether it was the wind, whether it was the rain, or whether it was a bird or a squirrel that was doing a Caddyshack kind of number?
A bird pooped on my head one time.
Oh wow!
I was like, oh, yuck. Um, I can tell you that my husband was playing in a PGA Tour event when Lee Trevino got hit by lightning.
Oh wow!
And that was terrible. I was not there, but
Uh-huh.
that's pretty bad. I mean, he lived and everything was okay, but that was pretty scary. Pretty scary. Um, I have played, and you know what's funny? I think I'm a bit sick. I'm better in terrible weather.
Mm,
I'm better when it's blowing and raining sideways.
wow!
I'm just, yeah, bring it on, baby. I can take it.
Bring on the bad weather and everything like that. Cindy will
Yeah.
take it on.
Yeah. It
Who are some
must
of the
be
people?
Buffalo.
Must be the Buffalo in you. Who are some of the people that have inspired you? Because, like I said, I do recognize some of the names. Of course, everybody knows Jack Nicklaus, Tiger Woods, and definitely Lee Trevino, and even some of the other ones as well, including it's an Indian gentleman that was something Singh,
VJ.
VJ,
VJ.
VJ
Yeah.
Singh, and
So
everything. But
Alan, my hubby, played with all those guys. And again, they were awesome. And he could tell you major stories about all of them. But Joanne Carner
mhm,
and Kathy Whitworth were so, so good to me. And Joanne Carner is still alive. Um, when had qualified for the tour, I grew up in Buffalo and I thought, okay, what am I going to do? Where am I going to practice? So Rich Products Corporation is from Buffalo. And so there was a Rich non-dairy creamer and the Bill Stadium used to be Rich Stadium. And
right,
so
I
I
remember that.
wrote a letter to Mr. Rich and I said, I met you at Doral because he used to take lessons from Eddie Bush at Doral and I used to take lessons from Eddie Bush at Doral. I said, you don't know who I am, but my name is Cindy Kessler. That was my maiden name, and I'm from Silver Creek. And I know that you own a golf course in West Palm Beach. And, I just qualified for the LPGA Tour. And I don't know if it's okay with you, but could I work in the pro shop in the winter and practice in the afternoon? Because I've got my LPGA Tour card and I need a place to practice and I don't have a lot of money and blah, 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 blah. So he wrote back to me and he goes, well, Joanne Carner, who's in the Hall of Fame, is a member at our golf course. And I don't know if she would like it if you practiced at our golf course. So you're going to have to ask her if it's okay. And I thought, she's in the Hall of Fame. I'm not really a threat to her. I'm a new punk on the
Mhm,
tour, right? So just so happens the next week we were playing in a tournament in Wheeling, West Virginia in the mountains, and it was pouring rain. And there was a rain delay and we all had to go in a cabin. Not all of us,
mhm,
but
right.
so I was stuck in a cabin with Joanne Carner. So I thought, well, here's your opportunity. So I went up to her and I said, I don't know if you remember me, but I used to, go to the University of Miami and you used to come down and see Eddie Bush at Doral. And I'm from Buffalo. And I asked Mr. Rich if it was okay if I practiced at Palm Beach National in the winter. And he said I had to ask you because you're a member of Palm Beach National. I'm not exactly a threat to you. I'm a brand new player do you mind if I practice at Palm Beach National? She goes, no, not at all. I go, thank you. So I reached back out to him. And so he said, okay, it's fine. So I worked in the pro shop. When I got there, I I said to her, I don't have a place to live. She goes, we got our Airstream trailer because she had a trailer that they
Mhm.
traveled with on the tour. She had a fancy condo on the beach. She goes, why don't you stay in the Airstream trailer in the trailer park and we'll live in the condo on the beach. So I did. So she had cockroaches about that big
Mhm.
in the Airstream trailer. I stayed in the trailer. She stayed in the condo on the beach. And I worked in the pro shop in the morning. And every afternoon, I would go out on the golf course and she would take me under her wing, beat me like a drum, but taught me all kinds of stuff. And she was such a blessing to me, such a blessing. And Kathy Whitworth, same way.
Sounds like it and everything. What is your take on the international golf courses and the international competitions? I know that we haven't done that well in the Ryder Cup, which is the one that we do with England, if I remember correctly, and all along those lines. But I just wanted your take on those. And I think that
The
golf was an
Solheim
Olympic
Cup is
sport.
the, yeah, the Solheim Cup is the women's one. And we do pretty good there. And the Ryder Cup, I mean, I think the way the Americans treated the Europeans was terrible this year. It was absolutely disgusting. I cannot believe how they acted in New York City. It was just disgusting. But I think it's good for the game. I think it's great for the game. But the way we treated them, the U.S. fans should be slapped. It was terrible. It was
And
terrible.
was golf an Olympic sport this year, or I think it was recently an Olympic
Yeah,
sport?
it's in the last few years.
Okay.
It's okay. I think it's kind of weird. I think it should be amateurs, but they never asked my opinion, so they could care less about me.
Well, I'm asking your opinion, so we know that you would rather it be amateurs. And what is your take on that new golf division that is coming up now? I forgot the name of it, but I know that it's based out of the Middle East and everything like that. But it's the
I just think it's silly. Live golf.
yeah,
I think it's sad. I think it's I don't really agree with it. I think it's silly. I think the guys went there for the money.
uh-huh,
I just I think it's I think it's sad. I'm not sure why they're doing it. It's
right.
just it's just it doesn't sit right here with me.
Yeah, that makes sense and everything. Just really quickly, what do you think about? Are we getting enough sponsors? Because I remember back in the day, you used to see a lot of sponsors both on the tennis circuit as well as on the golf circuit, and I don't know that I'm seeing as much of the sponsors as there used to be. So, are we seeing enough sponsorship from corporations in either the LPGA or the PGA, or is it a lesser amount of sponsorship? So maybe I'm because, like I said, I don't watch it as much as you do, so maybe there is as much sponsorship as there used to be. But I know that some of the things that were sponsoring it are not necessarily seen as popular items, whether that's like cigarettes and alcohol and stuff like that. But I just wondering, do you think that we're seeing enough corporate sponsorship of the golf circuits?
There's a lot of sponsors and they're playing for a lot of money.
Okay.
A lot of money.
Yeah.
Both tours are playing for a lot of money.
Do you think that women, because I know that's been the issue with the basketball between WNBA and NBA, even though both of them are making some pretty good money. As a matter of fact, just this past weekend, the women were, because Kara Lawson, I believe is her name, she's one of the Duke coaches, is going to be coaching our part of the coaching team for our Olympic team. So the Caitlin Clarks, the Angel Reese's, the one that was arrested in Russia, Brittany Griner, and a number of others were here to work out and to have their first effort to make the team. They won't make the team till later on and everything, but they were doing some workouts, and that was this past weekend. From I think it was Friday through Sunday, if I read the newspaper, because they were joking in the paper. They were like, "You won't get to see them because it was a private event and everything like that." So only if you had access to those particular coaches did you get to see the folks that were participating and all along those lines. But I just wanted your take on the pay level between men and women's sports, because I do know Title IX, I think it is, or has been a popular conversation even on the school level. So I just wanted your take on are we seeing fairness in the pay levels?
You know, it's never going to be the same. It's Is it fair? Is it fair? Is fair the right word? Probably not. Is it the same? Absolutely not. Is it ever going to be the same? No, because more men want to watch men,
Right.
and men are writing the checks.
Right.
So is it ever going to be the same? No. Is it more for women than it used to be? Absolutely.
That's
You
good to
know,
know and everything.
it's way more than it used to be. Way more than it used to be.
Okay.
Way more than it used to be. Is
Are
it
we
ever going to be
talking
the
tens or
same?
hundreds of
No.
thousands of dollars more, or are we talking millions more?
It's millions more than
Oh,
it
well,
used to be.
that is a lot
Totally.
more and everything. Does golf have its version of NIL? Because I know I mentioned the
Yes.
interlude
Yes,
show,
it
but
does. And I sure wish it did when I was playing. Yes. So Kai Trump is getting 2 million in NIL to go to Miami. And she may not even be on the top 5 of the golf team. 2 million.
Kai Trump is in one of that's Donald's granddaughter, right?
Granddaughter.
Right.
Yes.
Well,
2 million. Not bad.
that's not bad at all, and that's just off of an
Uh,
NIL deal. So imagine what you had been doing if you had been doing that
well,
back
I
when you
wasn't
were
good enough to be there. I was a walk on, so I wouldn't have gotten an NIL. But you know what I mean? It's a big deal. And that's golf. That's
right.
golf, not football.
Not football, not
I
basketball,
mean,
not any.
to be honest with you, I don't think NIL is a good idea. I think it's bad.
Okay.
It's personal opinion, but
No, that's fair enough. Why do you think that it's a bad thing, the NIL? Because, like I said, I know that one of the guys that has a show here, he is involved with NIL, but that's just his business model. I'm not saying that he's right or wrong, but why are you thinking it's not a good
well,
thing?
in the game of golf, so you are, there's a thing called amateur status
Hmm.
in golf. And so, like, you're not supposed to be able to teach a golf lesson and get paid,
Right.
or you're considered a professional. So apparently now you can be a college golfer and get paid to give a golf lesson.
Oh, well.
Well, that means you're a professional.
Right.
Well, no. Well, so now it's like, are we changing all the rules? So why did I go to join the LPGA and learn how to, I had to go to school. I had to start at a class B and take so many tests and spend thousands of dollars, when a kid that goes to college can just go stand over there and give a golf lesson and get paid. I mean, all these rules are changing, and it's like it just seems weird to me.
And speaking of things weird and everything, and we get ready to wrap up shortly and all along those lines, but how much is there the switching of teams and everything like that? I went to Marquette, I mentioned that earlier, and one of the things, and we're not having the best year. I think we're 5-6, going to play Georgetown and hopefully can balance out and become a 500 team and maybe start working on a winning season and everything like that. But I do know that one of the things that Shaka Smart does not like is he doesn't like getting transfers. That's part of what he's known for and everything like that. But there are a lot of other schools that could care less. And even I'm imagining in golf, there are people that are going from school to school to school and all along those lines. So I just wondering, how much is that a major issue in golf from what you have observed, where somebody might be playing one year at the University of Buffalo and the next year deciding to play at the NYU or something like that? So how big is this a issue in golf?
That I don't know, but I know that my husband cannot stand the fact that there was a quarterback that went from Georgia to Miami,
Right.
and he hopes Miami loses against Texas A&M. Again, so I think it's ridiculous. These kids are in college. Go get a degree. Be grateful that you're going to go get your college education paid for you, and stop. You know, you shouldn't be a multimillionaire when you go to college. You should go get a degree. It just seems wrong to me.
Yeah, that makes sense. I know one of the things that both founders of the network complain about, meaning Pod TV, is this notion that people don't have a understanding of a business sense, no matter what they are studying. Like I said, Nick is one of the founders, and he's a pension attorney. Kim is an engineer by trade and everything like that. But they would like people to learn more about fiscal literacy and all along those lines. So I know that you were a on the tour, and you've definitely been part of different things, including that Golf Channel show and everything like that. But at what point in your life did you learn the business aspect of what you needed to know? And when do you wish you had learned it? And maybe you're even teaching you and Alan's kids these things now and everything like that. But at what point did you feel that you got the business sense of what you needed to learn?
Well, when you play on the tour, so
Mhm.
once you graduate from college and you want to go play on the tour, no one pays your expenses.
Right.
So once I graduated from Miami and I wanted to play on the, I, I played amateur golf that summer, and
Mhm.
then I won the New York State Amateur, and then I turned pro. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go play on the mini tour. So I had to raise the money, save money to go pay entry fees and budget your travel immediately. I'm like, oh, this is going to cost money every week. Where am I going to pay for this? You better go make money in the tournament to pay for the expenses that you just had to pay for the next week. I mean, immediately there's a budget, right?
Mhm.
And you got to go look in the mirror. Oh, I'm the one that has to pay for that. No one's paying. My father had died the year before in my junior year of college. I have to pay for that. So it's
So
up to you, sweetie pie.
so golfers don't necessarily have the same thing that other entertainers and athletes have in the sense of having like agents and other people that are sometimes controlling the money and then sometimes taking advantage of the money as well. So
Oh,
that
absolutely not. Not at least not when I played.
right.
Now, if you've got NIL and you're getting $3 million, yeah, then they're spoiled brats. Not when I played. I had to learn it immediately.
So you
So
had to
again, it's a totally different scenario.
yeah, that's a totally different scenario because right now you got people that are uh, getting burned, and of course you got people that as soon as they get that instant money, they want to spend it on everything, and of course everybody's got their hand in their pockets and everything like that. And I'm sure that was even the case back then, where people before you met your husband were trying to get you to buy the newest car or the newest house or whatever they
Oh,
were trying.
absolutely. And then the money's not going to last, and they're taking advantage of this kid who doesn't even have a degree, and it's just terrible. You can't. That. Oh, it's just dirty. You know.
Yes, that's too dirty, and that's a shame when they do that and everything. And I know there have been some people, including some famous basketball players, that have been burned by that. I know that Fran Drescher, who is not Fran Drescher, the actor, but it's another Fran that was a NBA, WNBA player. I'm trying to think of her last name, even though I've had her on the show and everything like that. But she was working on some programs to get kids, kind of like what you're doing with golf, but to learn it through basketball. And I think she's in Texas, if I remember correctly, and everything like that. So there are people, and she also has an energy drink and everything like that. So what are some of the other business ventures that you created out of your golfing? Because like I said, I know she did energy drinks. I know some other people that have done sodas and their own brands. So were there any branding things that you or your husband created outside of the golf world?
So just the shirt business, just the
Okay.
shirt business, selling the shirts
Yeah, the shirts
and,
is that.
online courses and stuff.
Oh yeah. And online courses on leadership and online courses on golf and a number of other things as well that you
Hmm.
are offering and everything. One of
And
the
the
things that I
book,
just
Take Another Shot.
yeah, the book definitely take another shot and all along those lines. What do you think is the most valuable lesson that people can learn from reading that book? Take another shot, other than to be persistent, because that's what the book is saying. Just like telling people to do is not to give up and everything like that. So, what is one of the most valuable lessons that people can learn from your book?
That it's never too late to
Oh,
take
well.
another shot. It's never, ever too late to take another shot at business, at golf, or at your life.
Yeah.
If you're like, oh, I wish I would have done that, well, it's time to do it. I don't care how old you are. I don't care if you're 85, you
Mm.
know,
No, I agree
it's
with
never
you.
too late.
No, I agree with you. My dad became, he is 80. Let's see, I'm 63. He's 22 years older than me. So he's 85 now, but he became a successful artist about 20, 25 years ago and everything like that. But that was his third or fourth career. Same with mom. Mom is now retired, but she ran a major philanthropic organization. She had the Golden Leaf Foundation. She was their first president, which was the money from the cigarette settlement to get people out of the cigarette industry and everything like that. And so definitely, and I've got dad's other half because mom and dad are divorced and everything like that, and have been divorced for many decades. But his other half, she's a dancer and doing dancing well into her 80s because I think she's in her late 70s or early 80s. So I agree that you don't have to think that you have to give up because you have reached a certain age and everything like that. But some people are too afraid of that because one of the things we talk about on this network quite often, in particular this show, and I'd love to hear your thoughts as to how you got by it. Because one thing I've been really impressed during our conversation is you are self-confident, and that is a very good thing. But a lot of people are afraid of what is called the imposter syndrome, or that little inner critic and everything like that. So I was just wondering, at what point did you conquer that inner critic, and what advice do you give for people to get past that inner critic or that imposter syndrome? Because I know in work and in job opportunities and even in relationships, because I've been single forever, I have talked myself out of it or had that whole conversation. And by the time I decided to go after the person or go after the career opportunity, the opportunity had left or the lady had left and everything like that. So I just wondering, what advice would you give to people that are dealing with that imposter syndrome?
So I start the book out talking about the committee of they. And the committee of they are those people that say, you're not good enough, you're not, you're too fat, you're not smart enough, you can't do this. And you can't listen to them. And sometimes that voice comes from right in here,
Right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think most of my life, I'm better off when you tell me what I can't do.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the people that have talked to me about the book said that chapter 7 was the best chapter they read. And that was when I talk about pursuing rather than protecting.
No.
So when you tick me off, I will pursue rather than, oh, I'm scared. I don't know what's going to happen, and I'm afraid, that's when I start looking at, the lion in the trees and, oh, he's going to get me, rather than get out of the way. I'm going to just hit this shot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I have to know what makes me get to that mindset of I'm pursuing this.
Mm.
And you almost have to tell me, you can't do this. You're not good enough to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And when you do that to me, you better look out, because now I'm going to kick your butt.
That's
So
right.
you need to know how you think. So in this course that I'm creating, I'm creating a course and a playbook for unlocking your potential. That's what I'm doing. And it's gonna launch probably the beginning of February. So anybody that's interested, go to Cindy, email me, Cindy@cindymillergolf.com if you're interested, and say, okay, what's this course gonna be? And I'll send you a survey to see if you're fit for the course. You need to know how you think. So I'm going to have everybody fill out, an assessment.
Mm-hmm.
Because some of us, are very detail oriented, like that disc assessment.
Right.
So I'm a brat. So you have to tick me off, and then I'm going to punch you back. Okay. But my husband, Alan, is very shy and quiet. So if you did that to him, he'd run away.
Right.
Okay. So he has to read directions and say, well, wait a minute, I'm not sure this is for me. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So depending on your personality, that's how you would defeat that demon. Okay.
Yeah.
So you can't deal with everybody the same way. For me, if you tick me off, I'm fighting you.
Yeah.
And so for you, you ask a lot of questions. You probably got a lot of C in you.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you email me, I'll give you the assessment for free. Okay. Because you've been very nice to me and let me do this show with you.
Yeah.
So I'll send you the assessment, and then you have to say, okay, I've probably asked way too many questions, and I have some C in me too. So we call my C Cynthia.
Mm-hmm.
Cynthia's my evil twin. She goes, oh wait, okay. Oh, I'm not sure. And she's scared.
Mm-hmm.
She's the protector.
Mm-hmm.
Punch butt cheeks. Oh. That's not good. And Alan will say that. He can see Cynthia come out on the golf course.
Wow.
Tell Cynthia to go home. We want Cindy to play in this tournament. Where's Cindy? Tell Cindy to come back. Cynthia
Wow.
needs to go home. So again, you need to know who's talking up here.
Yep.
But see, I've screwed up so many times that I know me really well.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I don't make the decision. Sometimes I have to go, you know what? I'm not sure what I want to do yet. What do I want to do? And then I go, okay, Lord, what do you want me to do? Because I'm a Christian. And I go, am I walking down the wrong path right now? If I am, slam the doors in my face.
Right.
Because I'm going to try to walk through a shut door.
Mm-hmm.
So just slam the door, because I don't want to walk through a shut door.
Right.
or open the door I'm supposed to go through. Like the kid thing I did at the Bill Stadium.
Hmm.
Oh my gosh, those doors just opened right up. I raised that money so fast it wasn't funny. I go, okay, okay, okay. I get it. I get it. And these kids were like, this was so much fun. I'm like, yeah, this was great. So now I know I'm supposed to do this. I'm supposed to help these kids. They had a ball.
Oh, they sound like they had a great time and everything.
They
I know that
did.
one of my friends, he talks about the not just the imposter syndrome, but he talks about this notion of knowing your worth and all along those lines. Because that's another thing. He talks about this idea of people kind of like stealing your knowledge and not giving you the just rewards for all of that and everything like that. And he has a term for it and everything like that. But it's kind of like those people that are stealing your knowledge and not wanting to give you the worth
The
of what
credit,
you have. And I was
the
just
credit,
wondering, huh?
the credit for it.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
how do you deal with that? Because I know that there are people that the brain drain. That's what my friend Ray calls it. Is the people that want to do the brain drain. They want to get all of your information, but they don't want to
Don't
give
give
you.
it to them. I see.
Yeah,
I would sense that. I would sense that, and I wouldn't give it to them. There's
gotcha.
no way. I wouldn't. I wouldn't talk to them.
Right.
I wouldn't talk to them. I would say, "What? Why do you need this? And what are
Hmm.
you doing?" You know, I wouldn't talk to them. I had a call with somebody today. I'm not going to say who because this is going to,
Right.
I said, "Hey, maybe we should do this on our own because somebody else, I love coming up with new ideas. I'm
Hmm.
a wacko for ideas.
No,
And I admit, somebody said to me, "Why don't you retire?" I go, "Retire? You want me to sit on the couch, pick my nose, and die? No,
that's good.
I
No,
don't want to do
you,
that.
no, you
I'm a
remind me of some.
wacko."
You remind me of other people that have your personality that are in their 70s and 80s and even 60s that are they won't retire until it's the last day and everything like that. So I think that that's your personality. I get the impression that your husband as well. But I also get frustrated. I don't know how you deal with this as well by people that want you not just those that want to take credit for your ideas, but those people that want you to live their dreams and don't necessarily want you to live your own dreams. So they try to get you to buy in to their dream. And I'm not saying you can't support your friends and your associates, but you do get people that try to drain your energy by having you buy into their dream, and instead of having you be a encouragement to their dream, but they try to have you totally buy into the dream of theirs and without thinking about
Nobody, nobody really does that to me.
it. Right.
I, they really don't. Maybe I'm too much of a witch, but they really don't.
I could see that and everything. Well, this has been a great conversation. I have thoroughly enjoyed it and everything like
Me
that.
too.
And I
Thank
definitely
you.
hope you'll come back on some other shows. I was trying to give to the 75-minute mark, and we went a little bit over and everything like that. So I do appreciate your going a little bit more. One thing that I get everybody to do when they come on these shows is to give their ways that they can be reached, and you've done that a couple of times and everything. But Pod TV is an international network. We have some show hosts that are in Bangladesh. We have some people that are in Australia and other parts of the world, and people that are watching from around the world as well. So, and I am one of those people that believes in positive and encouragement, and I don't care what your race or anything else is, and or the religion. So I get all my guests, no matter whether it's one guest or some of the shows that I've got 5 or 6 guests to give a message of positivity. So if you will share your message of positivity to our global audience, I would greatly appreciate that, and also tell folks how you can be reached.
Well, I don't care who you are. I don't care what color you are. I don't care what religion you are. Everyone's born for a reason,
Right.
and you should pursue your it. And it's never too late to take another shot.
Mhm.
And if you're interested in the book, you can buy the book, Take Another Shot at Business Golf for Life on Amazon.
Mhm.
Or if you're interested in the course that's coming out, you can reach me at Cindy at cindymillergolf.com. Thank you so much, Mark.
No, I appreciate it. I'm going to go out with the commercial that I go out all the time with, and it talks about the importance of teachers. It's actually a gentleman in Oklahoma, and I think he did this award 3 or 4 years ago, but it's still going on now to the best of my knowledge and everything. But he talks about the importance of teachers, but also support staff. And I did have some family members, including mom, that before she went into the philanthropy world was a guidance counselor when I was a youngster and everything like that. And I know that she's got sisters that have been teachers and medical librarians. So this particular award is about the importance of education, but not just the teachers, because we always give flowers or try to give flowers to the teachers, but also the behind the scenes people, whether that's the school guidance counselor, the school security officer, even the school janitor, and all along those lines, in the school cafeteria workers, which my grandmother was. So I was just wondering, how important was education to you before I get us out by playing this particular PSA? So if you will share the importance of education, and if there was a favorite teacher that helped you on your life journey.
Oh, wow. So education was really, really important to me. And you know what? I think my kindergarten teacher and Miss Schultz, my first grade teacher, was probably one of the most important teachers in my life. So many of my teachers, but Miss Schultz was really important to me.
Yeah, I can
So
agree.
thank you.
Oh, no problem. I'm going to play that PSA, like I said, but one other last question popped into my head. What's something that people would be surprised to know about you before I play this spot? Like, I know one person was a skydiver. I'm not trying to fall out of anybody's plane. There was somebody else that had traveled to various countries in the world. There were different people that have had different unusual hobbies. So what's something that even Alan was surprised to know about you before you married him and everything? Or maybe it's a hobby that you developed later in life. Like I said, my dad became an artist later in life. So what's something that people would find unusual to know about you?
I played clarinet and I wanted to be a rock star, but there were no rock stars that played clarinet.
Wow. You're right. I can't think of a rock star that played clarinet.
Nope, nope. So here I am.
So they have to go discover you. You have to be the golf playing clarinetist that's a rock star, even at your age. I think that you still can do that. Taylor Swift, if you're looking, Cindy is ready to play clarinet on your next album. Taylor Swift, if you're listening,
Yeah,
she'll even play at your wedding, right, Cindy? You'll play at
that's
Taylor
right.
and Travis's
That's
wedding.
right. I would, even though he's at Kansas City.
Yeah, no, that's that other team. But they've
Yeah,
been
that's
eliminated.
okay.
They've been
Yeah, that's
eliminated. They're
true.
not playing this year.
Thank God for us, because
Yeah,
they're good.
they are good. They have been eliminated.
Yeah,
So you don't have to worry about them this year.
yeah, thank God.
So hopefully Buffalo will have a championship. I don't know when my Vikings are going
I,
to have a championship, but on
I
that
don't
note,
know. I like Minnesota too.
cool. Well, I
Thanks,
appreciate you.
honey. Thanks, sweetie.
Thank you. And I'm going to play this commercial and get us on out of here. But this has been a fun conversation, and hopefully I can get you back on some other shows
Oh,
as
you
well.
can get
I
me back.
thoroughly
Thank
enjoyed
you,
it.
sweetie. Have a great one.
All right, you do the same.
It's non-stop. I won't fold, I won't drop until we on top. Only going non-stop, non-stop. I won't fold, I won't drop until we on top. Only going non-stop.
I want to thank everyone for coming to the 2020 TAF Awards. This was a show like no other, people. This is the Grammys for dignitaries, educators, and support staff around the state of Oklahoma and worldwide. We cannot do this without the support of the people. So we thank you, I thank you, for being such a dedicated supporter to this movement for the Teachers Appreciation Foundation. I thank you.
It's non-stop. I won't fold, I won't drop